thought I'd try to out of what's on your mind or what things might you want to talk about to go as a starting place.
I think that probably a good place to start then is where we are as a local market. We know that for probably a year we've been waiting almost for a market correction, and it's been predicted nationwide. And we also know, if we've been around for longer than 30 days, that we're a very unique market here in Idaho Falls with INL, and we seem to always drag behind everywhere else. So where does everyone think that we are in that pendulum?
In the market itself?
Yeah.
So sometimes I lead by asking questions, but that's okay with everybody. So what do we know about market cycles? What do we know about them as far as maybe length or duration or that kind of thing? How long they historically, how long do they last?
4 years.
4 years, good guess.
7
to 9 is generally accepted cycle. So when did the cycle that we're in start? So we can build it. So we had a cycle that obviously started like in 2007, right? And when did that cycle end? I mean, really, when did it end? When did our market start?
2013.
2013. 6, 7 years, right? Because we were in it in 2007, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 7 years, so somewhere through there, and then we cycled. So what year are we in now? 2019, 2020. So how far into this cycle are we?
The very end.
We're in this cycle. And so the cycles aren't exact over the years, but they run somewhere through there. So that's part of why they say, hey, we're cycling, and we should be preparing in our businesses for where the market's going, not where the market is, because of course our practice where the market is, not where it's going. And so if we're basing our practices on the strength of the market we have today, we have to wonder where it's going to leave us when the market does shift. And Gary will stand in a room. I get to be with him in a couple of weeks, and he'll tell us we still don't know the exact timing. We know that the upper end market in some markets has already shifted, but other markets, the affordable markets, are still tight. The inventory is still tight. So as long as that inventory stays tight, I don't see that shift coming. But what could cause that to happen? What could cause the shift to happen?
Interest rates.
Interest rates. So what would cause interest rates to
And shift.
So, and this is stuff we don't have a lot of control over, but it could have influenced us. And I don't know really how you plan for this, but I wouldn't tell anybody that I'm Democrat, Republican, agnostic, independent, or anything about politics. This is not a political discussion. However, if we have a change in political parties in the White House from the party that's there, interest rates are going to move. So we can say that factually. So one of the things that we do hear people talk about waiting, right? People talk about waiting some period of time. And so you need to be skilled at that discussion about what happens when interest rates rise and how does that influence buying power, and then what influence and what impact does that have on the market that we're practicing. So for sure, I mean, how many of y'all have, what's your script when somebody says they want to wait? Whether they're buying or selling, it doesn't make any difference. Does waiting make any difference whether they want to buy or sell? If they want to.
I had a person who wanted to wait like 3-4 years ago, and I told him don't wait, because it was right when we started getting into that multiple offer thing, and he said I'm not going to compete with everybody. And I said, well, look at last year and when you sold your house, and now how much more are you paying for houses? And you should have kept your house and stayed in it if you didn't plan on buying again. And I said, just look at all the equity that you lost, and that's going to keep going. So
market goes down.
So a lot of people think that, right? They talk to me and they're like, well, I'm gonna wait till the market slows, wait till the market slows. And I said, look, historically, when has there ever been a time home values went in reverse? One time, really, that we know of. All they do is slow. They don't roll backwards. So it just means next year, it won't be a 12% increase, it'll be a 4%. But it's still gonna keep going up.
So it's gone backwards one time since when? This is kind of an important thing. Real estate values have gone backwards one time since when? Since World War II, 1944. One time since World War II.
Over what time frame? A 10-year time frame or a 1-year time frame?
Just
Because then they go backwards in the 70s.
no, they didn't actually. That was the amazing thing. And what were interest rates? But the first house I bought,
18%.
interest rates, and I
Was
bought
that during the Carter administration, right?
Yes.
we bought our first house in 1977, 1978, and interest rates were 18%.
Sean and I were in diapers at that point.
So, you know, we found ways to. It was interesting, even though interest rates were crazy. We found a way to sell real estate. We sold a home. We put a home on the market in the Bay Area when we left the Bay Area, and interest rates at that time were about 16.5% at that time. We put our house on the market, and the day we put it on the market, we had 9 offers. The day we put it on the market. So even when interest rates were crazy high, the real estate market found a way to be active. And so with those times, the practices were adjusting to where the times were, and there were people getting out in front of it. So that's really what we have to think about when we think about the market. We aren't going to be able to predict when. And I agree with you. I mean, honestly, I don't see values going down. I don't see declines in value. Will we see less pressure at some point? We should see less pressure. We should see less pressure on the market. And with less pressure on the market, then there's less appreciation pressure, and we may return to more normal, what we would call more normal pressures.
Mike, can I ask a question on this from you, experience of people who've been in it a long time? Do you really feel like we'll roll back and that slow with the limited amount of building that we have in our area? Because a lot of times that new construction rate helps to increase our inventory. But I mean, they're trying to build, but we're not building as fast as other times when we started to feel that pressure and builders started to really kick it up. Do you feel like that's going to keep our rates, our prices keep going up because of the low builder pressure?
So the builders, what are the influences of the builders? Do we understand what that is? How that helps us or hurts us, and does it ever really hurt us? Because construction costs are as far as what they cost, are they going up or down or staying flat? And what about the costs are going up or down or flat? What's changing? The number one thing is labor, isn't it? Why is labor changing? It's tight, right? Labor's tight. Why is housing going up in value? It's supply economics. It's supply. It's what's available, and it's what's available in the skills. So that's creating pressure. Of course, supplies continue to go up as well. And so as construction costs go up, that's really what's hit our affordable market, isn't it? Because we don't have any new construction in those affordable ranges to be able to help us down. So now it pulls the market with it, but it also provides competition to it. Right? It provides competition to the existing market as well as pulling that market with it. So it does both things. We actually have, I think this year we'll have nearly 600 homes built in Bonneville County. It's a big year for construction residential, yet builders still aren't keeping up with that demand because there's not housing supply either. So they're both working in tandem as folks seek this house. But at some point in time, we have to understand we do have a unique market, but what causes our market to flatten out isn't necessarily what's happening here. It's not the negative things happening. It's not that there's job reduction going on at the lab. It's not that there's fewer people working at the hospital. It's not that Melaleuca is going down in size. It's not that we see fewer dentists. It's not that we see fewer attorneys. It's not that we see fewer anything. is what's happening is people that want to move here can't sell where they are, so they can't move here. And that's what begins to impact us. So that's why in our market, we're watching what's going on around us and watch those markets. When we start hearing about the Phoenixes and Southern Californias and those areas where we see people, Texas, where you have people moving here from those areas, that's when we'll see it start to impact us. So it'll be as a result of those. So let's get to some real estate practices a little bit. What inside your practices are creating drama for you, or questions, or how do you, what are is it time management? Is it knowing what to do next? Is it what is there something in your business that's kind of a constant dilemma, and how do we take care of this, or what do we do about that?
Something that I've seen recently, and I don't know if it's because we have a lot of different. I don't want to make it seem like I'm putting anybody down, but some of the newer real estate agents, I've noticed that there was a lot of things that I had to learn the hard way when I got into real estate, and one of those things was how I deal with other people. And I've noticed that some people are harder to deal with on a real estate transaction, and we're all trying to do a win-win. But I think sometimes we don't realize that we have to ease up on the other side sometimes and let them have a win, and while we have a win. And so that's what I've found has been a little bit difficult.
So can you give an example?
Somebody trying to be really tough on your buyer has to be out by this day, or the lender can't get the stuff done in time, and you try to tell them, like, hey, look, they need one more day, they didn't get the appraisal back in time or whatever, and well, no, we're supposed to close on this day, I don't know, just
Challenges.
Yeah.
That's a big part of our business, isn't it?
it is.
I mean, do houses cause us stress? Is it houses that cause stress in our business?
No,
You could eliminate
they just-
people, the
they
houses
just-
would be.
So it is those interaction skills. So most times the way out of conflict is through curiosity. So our tendency is always to move into judgment, isn't it? I mean, that's our natural thing. Our first reaction, and it happens so fast if we think about the circle, that we hear about something, we have our filter, we have our own personal developed filter, we have our own set of circumstances, we begin to reach a conclusion, we make a decision, and then we react, right? This is our cycle, and it happens like this. It happens really fast because of the beautiful aspect of our mind. And so I find most of the time that when people are in that position, that there's urgency, that they're drawing this line in the sand. Ask why. Okay, I understand you must be catching it from somewhere. Tell me more about what's the urgency that we have to be done on this day. Where's that coming from? Help me understand. I'm trying to help you understand what we've got, but I need to ask what's going on in your part too. Because we understand there's two stories and there's a series of families and lots of things. So I find most of the time it's just asking questions. Whenever they give you an answer, figure out another question to ask about that, to dig in and understand what's the deal. Right? Truly, what's the deal without sounding cantankerous and oppositional to it. But trying to find a path through that challenge and so help you understand what your situation is. And then you suddenly find out there's a lot more going on that, okay, now you understand what that reverse pressure is. We're able to find a solution. I think our first tendency and our first challenge is we move to judgment. I was listening to a video this morning, and the person in the video was talking about an early disagreement that he had with his new wife, and this disagreement was they were moving into their first place, and it was so big that they could see everything from any spot they stood. They could see the back of the bathroom, they could see the kitchen, they could see their bed, everything. So it's just this little place, and they realize they don't have any room for anything. And so he's everything. And so they're kind of going through this thing. And then they go to the store and he points out what he calls a hamper, which is actually a trash can. And she's pointing, anyway, the point of the story was that they each sitting in this small space together, just them and nobody else, they were having an argument about nothing, but being highly invested about whether it was going to be a closed basket or a open trash can. And it turns out neither one of them knew what the other was talking about, to which they had a laugh after they got over it. They laughed. So I think this is kind of the same story in all of our businesses. And as we grow our businesses, we have team members that whatever role that team member is playing, things are going to come up inside our teams.
Just to speak to what Cindy was saying, I think everything with like newer agents, I think there's a way to approach to have these like higher level conversations where we're digging and we're understanding, but it comes through educating but not being condescending. And I think that is like, obviously we all know that in real estate there's a lot of ego that goes along, and I think the best thing is when we just set that aside and just talk to people. Like, we're all so super busy, but we're not so busy that we can't just stop. And like, I've only been in this for 7 years. I remember when I first started, people that slowed down and like explained stuff to me, like, it was so valuable. And then it enhanced my relationship with that agent, and the whole thing just goes smoother. I think it's just, sometimes it's just about the approach. Like, it's okay to slow down and help these younger agents. Like, help them be better, because when we push against that, we're just creating more value.
I'd love to see a role play on this. I love this topic. I think it's fun.
And it's good topic. And maybe I'll offer a little bit further too. Often asking for commission. And so Cindy, have you ever experienced this before? I know that you haven't done real estate for a long time. Have you experienced this before?
Yeah,
Asking a question.
yeah.
You're the role play.
Okay.
I just sucked you in. Gotcha.
Cindy's like, yeah, it was my question.
And in fact, that happened, it was a long
Oh,
time.
and I
You know,
just shocked me.
Well, not as fun as you might. Compared to you, I have.
So this you really haven't done this before. Not really.
Not really.
Could I offer some help?
I would love that.
Okay, cool. So can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so now what I've done is I set the table. So if Cindy was all lathered up when we started the conversation, I brought it back, and it's not really personal, but it is, right? I'm reaching out and saying, so you have experience with this? I mean, have you encountered this before? No, not really. No. Could I offer to help or offer any advice or anything? Well, sure. And I actually just had this happen earlier this week with the younger agent. And the agent himself not being younger, but we were caught in the spot, and the agent just said, I don't even know what to do. Just came out and said, I don't even know what to do. And I said, well, can we talk about it? For some insight and help. Now, you're doing this with the opposition, right? Is that true? Are you doing this with the opposition?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they are.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. That is,
But from a
yeah,
fiduciary
yeah.
standpoint, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, so, yes, and so our challenge is in defining this idea of client, and what does that mean? And I'm talking to opposing counsel. I mean, we think about attorneys. Can you have a discussion with opposing counsel without giving up the client's position?
Yeah.
Yeah, you really can. And that's the purpose. That's really the goal, is to be able to figure out a discussion and figure out a solution. Because the truth is, most attorneys, and I'm sorry to go to that attorney field, most attorneys, their desire is to avoid litigation. I'm not saying that's 100% true all the time, right? There are some attorneys that litigation is their period. That's what it is. They're looking for ways to get into litigation. But as a general statement about that trade, are they about getting into litigation, or are they into fighting the settlement? They're looking for a path to settlement. And so that's the way we have to view our business. downstream of opportunity for loss for everybody. So we have to do everything we can, and somebody has to take the high road. And it might not be you. It might not be you. Right? Just no matter where that direction goes, you find a way to ask the question, you find a way to stay the high road, you find a way to pull them to you for you to not to go to where they are.
Mike, so I've listened to you for a lot of years, and I always loved that about you, is that coming from curiosity, what questions can you ask? And there was a book I read this past year that supports that, but is probably the most powerful thing I'm working on implementing. It's called Never Split the Difference by Frank Voss? Chris Voss. And he just talks about hostage negotiation. And so now he's a business coach with hostage negotiation tactics, saying really we couldn't give up anything. We can't meet in the middle in hostage negotiation. And so he just talks about questions. How can we get, and Cindy, one of the questions he said is when someone's confident and you can't get them to come to you, he says the question I ask is, how am I able to do that? How can I do that for you? Because he said they'll come up with their own solutions because they won't be able to figure out how you could do that. How can I do that for you? I don't see how I could do that for you. How do you think I could do that for you? And have them vocalize, because a lot of stuff comes out. But that was a powerful question, and it comes from your point of curiosity. I try to think of that. I try to think of your question of how can you ask some questions, and then that implementation of how do you not give up your position, but you've got to be able to make them say yes, or get them to say yes and be happy because there was a hostage involved. Same thing in business.
So we can also always remember that different than hostages, thank goodness we don't have that. Generally, we have that kind of emergency. I mean, if the water's running and it's filling up the basement, it may qualify as an emergency. If the fire's getting bigger and we need to dial 911, that's an emergency. But generally, we have emergencies. I mean, honestly. So we've had a speaker here before. His name is Matt Fettick. Matt Fettick was a fireman, and then he was a medic, and then he was a policeman. He was all those things before he became a real estate agent. And I remember him the first time he said this to me. He says, "Mike, trust me, we don't have emergencies in real estate. We have important stuff, but we do not have emergencies." That's what we have to remember. So when you don't have an emergency, does that mean a solution has to surface now? This is an important thing I'm getting here. You have to solve it now. If this person that we're talking with on the other end is seriously engaged in their position, if they're lathered, they're rolling, and there's no bringing them to you, no matter what you ask, it's a confrontation. Do you have to continue to try to solve it then? What's the option?
Wait a little bit, wait for him to cool down, and then
And
go
how
back
do
in
you
with the new.
do that? So I'm talking with Francisco. Francisco, man, he is out of roll. I don't understand a word he's saying, but whatever he's saying really loud.
It's just difficult all the
Right?
time.
He is cranked up, right? He's revved up, whether he's my client, whether he's another. I mean, he is on a roll, and he's loud, and I'm not getting it. And the reason I'm using this as an illustration, I don't mean this culturally or because I don't understand the word in Spanish, but whenever we're yelling, can the other person hear us? Whenever, right? They just started speaking a foreign language because a wall is going up that we can't hear. And so now I need to figure out a way with Francisco, knowing we're not going anywhere, is to say, okay, Francisco, let me work with what you told me. Just let me work with this. Can I give you a call back in another hour or so? Okay. I'd rather solve it now, but okay. Right? Okay, great. I'll give you a call back in another hour or so. And you end the conversation. Now, nothing about your position may change with the hour, but it's a very good chance that Francisco will have cooled off after an hour, and also maybe even felt bad about how loud it got. That would change the texture of the conversation when I call him back. And you could have worthwhile conversations to go back and tell your client, look, I'm approaching this with the other agent. It sounds like we've got an issue. I'm not sure what it is. I I am gonna find out what it is. I'm supposed to call him back in about an hour. We have a conversation. Now, how much candor do you need to have with your client about this situation? It's not solved yet.
As little as possible,
Doesn't
then
do,
you get them rattled.
does it do any good to start running the other party under? Does it do any good? Does it do any harm? Okay, that's really important to remember. The moment you start running anybody under the bus, you in fact are not doing anything but harming the situation, because you're now elevating your client or the other person to the level of this other party. So do everything you can to, when you get that situation, if you don't see a way to bring it to closure at that time, postpone it. You don't have an emergency. You don't. Take a breath, step back. You may find you have a slight change of perspective as well. You may discover that there is something possible that you did, that you can offer something that moves them closer to you to get you. The human relations aspect of our business is huge. The truth is 75% of what we do. If we can excel at the tasks of what we do, they can be driven by a computer, right? This other market.
One thing I thought was interesting that Cindy mentioned was she kind of made the correlation with new agents. I don't know if that's a fair correlation, because there's people that are difficult that have been in the business 20 or 30 years that are just tough to deal with. So I think the skills apply across the board. And it's not just certain people, it's certain people on certain days. There's days when I'm sure people really enjoy working with me. There's days when I'm sure people are like, man, what the crap is his problem? And so, because we're all just working on it, we're all just trying to get better, but it's a good conversation. I like that Cindy brought it up, because sometimes it's hard to set ego and emotion aside and get wrapped up in doing the best for your clients and making a few bucks.
Well, we always have the two tenets we all have as human beings. We gotta go. I'm getting the signs in the back. I think it's down to 10, 9, 8. Is that we, as human beings, we're quick to move to judgment, and we have a driving need to win. All of us in this room have a driving need to win, and we have to remember how that influences our interactions with others. And we have to bring them into the win with us. When we bring everybody to the win with us, when we hit the closing table for somebody who's selling their home, not their house, their home, and they're buying a home, we help everybody come together to make this a great event for everybody involved. Because it's their home. It's very personal, which is what causes our fireworks, by the way.
Excellent. This has been brilliant. I've loved this. So thank you, Mike, and everyone who's participated. Great content, great comments. I have a huge favor to ask. If you attended today and it did something for you, you picked up some golden nuggets, would you go and post something on Facebook, say, had a top agent meetup this morning, brain share, and huge takeaways. Awesome company to work for. Would you do that for me? And we're going to be doing this every week, so keep coming back.
You send me that script?
Sure.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
That's weird if we all post the same thing.
Structure of your business and things you're experiencing in the market, anything like that. We can get everything on the table, so we can talk about it and everything.
And if it comes up during the week, email Mike or myself that topic.
Well, I was thinking maybe we could start something on Facebook where agents could say, hey, I've had this, can you answer this? Or maybe that might be something that they can, if they need help with during the week.
Definitely. Love it.
Maybe we start a hashtag, what is it, Skillshare, what are we calling this?
Yeah.
Brain
Hashtag
share.
Skillshare on our Facebook group so that people can search the content.
Yeah, maybe t-shirt.
Maybe.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Seriously?